in terms of census turnout, I'm curious how you think, like some states like California work really hard to get turnout for the census, and some states I think don't do a whole lot. So, I mean, California is expected to lose at least one congressional seat, perhaps two. But how much do you think California's efforts may help, the state efforts may help offset the loss, where maybe a state that's predicted to gain a seat might not gain another seat because they didn't work on turnout as much as California did?
Yeah. So most people, so the census, basically the enumeration, as the counting of people, has essentially three parts. They mailed out, do this form by mail, do this form online. So that was the first part, was trying to get people to do immediate self-response. Then after that, they started doing the door-to-door enumeration. That door-to-door enumeration obviously got a late start because of COVID, and was really hard for them to do because a lot of people weren't wanting to answer the door. And then the third phase, which is a much, much, much bigger deal this redistricting cycle than ever before, is where the census does actual calculations, looking at other data sources to try to identify filling in the gaps around the state. There's some intermediate stuff there, like this thing called group quarters, where like universities will say, here's all the kids in the dorms, and prisons will say, here's all the people in the prison. But so that family of different ways in which we do the counting, we know that the first wave was actually really good around the country. Everybody was stuck at home, so it was easy for them to fill out a census, get online. It was like better than anybody, I think, expected. That second wave, the enumeration was problematic to say the least. The group quarters stuff was probably okay, although we're not sure like what colleges were doing, if it was the same across the country, because in some colleges, all the kids had bailed the dorms, and they were being told just count them there anyway. And then maybe the kids were saying that they were living at home when the person came there and enumerated. The census has to figure all that out. The last part about backfilling in the holes is, it's going to be a big part of the deal. Now, we know California spent hundreds of millions of dollars to try to help with those first couple phases. Getting people to fill out the census, getting people to do it online, doing advertising, doing email blasts, doing social media, doing all this stuff, and then having people go out door to door and encouraging them to do the census and promoting it throughout the whole enumeration process. One of the reasons politically why California did this was it was an implicit renunciation of Trump. So they were able to say, Trump is a failure. He's going to F up the census. So we need to come and spend all this money to backfill and fix it because Trump is horrible. In a state like Texas, they're like, oh, Trump is great. We can't actually spend money to come and do these kind of programs to backfill the census, because in doing so, we would be implicitly sending a message that the administration it has a shortcoming, that Trump isn't doing everything perfectly. And so we're just not going to put the kind of resources into this aggressive effort to try to improve our count. And that polarization of the two states will likely result in Texas getting one less congressional seat than they should, and California getting one more congressional seat than they should. California should drop to 51 seats, losing 2 seats. I think we'll only lose 1. And Texas is supposed to get like 4, and I think they're going to get 1 less than they're supposed to. But that's all guesses, because I can't peek into the census data yet. So we're just kind of flying by what kind of common wisdom has been around it.
And there's a look at that coming in like early April.
So yeah, April 30th. April 30th is when we get the statewide enumerations, and we'll know how many seats everybody gets. But California might have basically, bought ourselves a congressional seat, and Texas might have just, let go of a congressional seat because they didn't want to do something that would make Trump unhappy.